Because overall, I do actually think overall this patch has actually been really good for the game. The first thing to talk about is probably the world tiers, because I think it's really good they've added this in. Yes, it's more difficult, this world tier. The only issue I think, there's a couple of issues. When you just add extra damage as a way of making the game more difficult, limits the way you can build. I think what would have been much better is if they made it so that enemies have much better stagger resist as well. Because the difficulty really in the game is when you remove the ability to freeze the boss, stagger the boss, or spam runes. And you can still do all three of those things. That still makes it easy. Because there's still ways to stagger bosses easily. You can easily spam runes, because the legendary rings are still broken, which I will go over. But I don't think this should be something they take forward as a way of doing world tiers. What I think would be much better is, yes, if you want to reduce damage for people, that's fine. But when you do this, builds like this, where you're trying to build into the fast range, they are almost impossible now to make work without being 2 hit, sometimes almost 1 hit. So what it does is it just forces you to have to put more armor in, more life. And so now the only way I can really make this build work is changing these pants, changing the chest to plate or mesh, and then putting more points into whip load. Now you could say, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But what's going to happen is people are just going to end up doing more and more builds here in this range here. Because if they do more damage, you just need more survivability. And that gives you less options. Because what I'm going to have to do is put these plate pants in. I'm going to have to put armor gems in. I'm going to have to put more points into life. Which means I can't do different types of builds where I use stamina, somewhere I use focus more. They're all going to blend into the same type of build. So when you look at the pickaxe build I did, the hammer build of these dual daggers, if they keep pushing the damage up as a way of adding more difficulty, all these builds will merge into the same build, which will be a tanky, medium roll melee build. I think the damage was in a good place before. I'm just going to shut my window because it's flying open, but I actually think damage was in a good place before. But yeah, I think they got it wrong in terms of the way they've implemented it. And I hope they don't go down this damage route, they don't go down XP route. What we need here is enemies have more stagger resist, enemies get, you know, more lifesteal maybe. Stuff like that. Maybe all enemies have an elemental effect, and they get 20% attack speed. You could take some of the pestilence stuff and add it in, but don't impact the player. Don't give the player like less focus, less health, anything like that. But also player XP. It's completely irrelevant. This is completely irrelevant. You are going to take much longer doing the story on this difficulty. The 20% XP, it's not enough. I also don't think it should be a factor anyway. I think it should be based on loot, really. I think it would be a lot better if they just said you get 50% more drops, 100% more materials on drop, something like that. Then we've got an incentive to be in the top world tier. And that in itself through the story will give more progression. So I think on the world tiers, I would rethink that. In terms of some of the other things, the second point I want to make is this heal. I think I said in my last video, I hope they add something for newer players for healing. Whether that be a heal over time out of combat, whether that be a heal. I actually think this is a good thing, that they've added this in, but it's been implemented in the wrong way. I think this would be much better if you couldn't use it in combat. It only costs 50, so you can reliably use it, but the fact you can use it so easily in combat is broken. And if the full game releases with this, I've tried not to build with this in mind because I think it breaks the game. Now I'm thinking they've just added it in as a quick fix, which is fine. Because newer players are going to really like this, it's going to get them into the game, it's not going to be too difficult. But for full release, it's way too strong. Way too strong in combat. And I think a good thing to do would be take all remaining focus for health, full health bar, something like that, out of combat. Those are two key things that I think from the patch need to be considered. Build variety has been affected by the world tier massively. It's an issue. I think stagger, focus, spam is still there, and freeze is still too strong. And this ring nerf is not good enough. Spend health if there is not enough focus available is still crazy strong. The reason for that is because you have this ring in the game. So all you have to do is run these 3 rings. You don't even have to run. You don't even have to run this actually. You could just run this still and have this. Stack your focus, swap your max health and focus. You can have like 1,000 focus and just use this and spam spells. So these need to all go. I think all these rings just need to go from the game. So I really hope they just delete anything to do with affecting focus. Is just a big issue. But overall, I think the patch is actually really good. Now you can obviously use mage spells at range, which is really good, but I think they need to speed up the animation. It takes way too long. When you stood there casting a spell, you stood still for ages, and when you stood still doing a spell, it doesn't feel very fluid when you're doing that. You're trying to move, do attacks. Whereas with the bow, it feels way better. Way better. Because you can move and shoot. So I think they should speed up the attack speed of those stamina costing mage spells so it feels smoother. Talking of bows, I think bows still need a big rune damage boost. They are so far behind. It's actually crazy how far behind bows are. I know that they're an offhand. So that could be why. But people want to run bows as the main weapon. So please treat bows like a main weapon. Is what I would say. The best ways to build bows at the moment are using the elements. Lightning damage, fire damage, they're the best two I think. In terms of just as a pure bow. Because you get your damage from the fire and the lightning. So yeah, the runes are not doing enough damage. I've covered a lot of ideas in my last video, so I'm not going to go over those again. But overall, I think the patch is a good thing for the game because it's easier for new players. There's a bit more to do at the end game, more build variety. However, there's more build potential because of the way they've done the mages and the bows. But then it's limited by these world tiers, and I don't think the world tiers are interesting enough. Which this could just be a short-term thing. They just thought, let's put something out there that's not too complicated. So maybe they already know. But yeah, damage is not really what I think needs to be looked at. You're just going to make everybody more tanky and more defined in what they do. So I really hope they consider looking at stagger, attack speed boosts, lifesteal boosts for enemies, stuff like that. Not damage, because it's just going to ruin the variety. Right now there's not enough, and I said this last video, there's not enough benefit for being down here. At this army you just get 2 hits, sometimes almost 1 hit. And it's an issue. So I hope they give boosts to us for the weight class we're in as well. I think that'd be really good. I know there's other items coming to the game, yeah, like crossbows, nunchucks, all these sort of things, which is really cool. But again, if they pump the damage up too much, that's not going to make it more difficult, it's just going to limit the builds that can work. I think outside of that, I don't want to overcomplicate it too much this video, but those are the main things that stand out to me. The other video I did, all my ideas in there, I still hope they do. I think the key takeaways for me are stagger is way too good still on bosses. It's a lot better on enemies because they've reduced the poise break of items, which is good. Bosses, too easy to stagger still. It needs to be like 5-10 times the amount of stagger time. No joke. Rune spam, way too easy because of the legendary rings. And I do think that ice and freeze effects are too strong. They're crazy. You can constantly freeze a boss. It's the same as stagger. Those three things, if they can just fix those three things, I think freeze should have a cooldown, 30-second cooldown or something like that. Once you've frozen an enemy, you can't freeze them again for 30 seconds. Something like that would be really good. I don't think I've really missed anything. I think picking out anything else would be nitpicking, but overall the patches are positive. Bows, ranged attacks, you know, mage spells, great. We can do that now. The early game experience should be a lot better for people, which is good. But again, I think a lot of the things they've implemented are the right things, but they've not been done in the right way. So in the short term, these are good things. For the full release of the game, I don't think this is how it should be. For those reasons I've just said, but overall, do I think it's been a good patch? I think it's a good patch in the sense of it's going to be good for newer players, for people like me, people on Twitch that I watch on Twitch and that are sort of actively playing the game. The patch hasn't added a whole lot, but overall it's good for the overall health of the game, for those newer players to get involved. So I'm really looking forward to future content. I'm still playing the game most days. I'm going to do some more build videos, because I do have a bunch of builds to still refine, like the Samurai, Ice Mage, this build as well. The Assassin build, I want to get that working again, if I can. But again, I'm going to have to run plate pants and run like 13 equip load to make it in a faster range. So that's the issue with the world tiers, fortunately. That's without abusing the heal at the bottom there, which I don't want to abuse because I think it's too overpowered. But other than that, I think those are the core things that need to be looked at. Easy fixes as well, and it will help the game, I think, for release. But yeah, let's see what they do in the future. I'm going to drop some more build videos, a few more. Then after those next few, it's going to be a lot harder for me to do builds, obviously, because of the ember changes and ember nerfs, which were needed. I still think they should take embers out of chests. I said this in the last video. Please take them out. Lock them behind bosses. They're super, super good. Yes, boost the amount of drops on bosses, but take them out of chests, please. That would be very, very good for the full release of the game. So yeah, I can see myself still playing this game. I play a lot of Marvel Rivals as well on stream, but in terms of YouTube, the videos might slow down a bit. But best believe, anytime there's updates to this game, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be playing it. So I'm very much switched on to that and looking forward to what comes in the future. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.